Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to the show. It's Movie Wire time. Oh, the Movie Wire. Bring the firing squad. Bill, Justin. Give the finger or laugh or smile. It's time to find out. No more waiting. So here we go. The Sultan of Cinema. The gumshoe of review. Here is Justin Henson. Let's start the show. Let's go.
welcome to the Movie Wire.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Movie Wire. I'm your host, Justin Henson, and welcome to the show. We've got a big show this week with two brand new movies, with two brand new reviews, with both films playing in theaters right now. And usually I do 3 to 4 films, but instead I invited a special guest on the show, and we got into a fantastic discussion. So this week, we're spending a little bit of extra time on a review and inviting Josh from the Talking Smac podcast to help review one of our films. This week on the show, The Ocean is Calling, Josh.
Wait. And Alex from Talking Smac.
Alex, it's Josh's turn. We're not doing this again. Not today. Get off. This week on the show, The Ocean is Calling, Josh from the Talking Smac podcast to help review this Disney Live remake of Moana. Every family has their demons in Evil Dead Burn. That you can also listen to my appearance on the Talking Smac podcast when I talk Evil Dead Burn with Alex. We got a lot to cover this week, so let's jump right in. Ready for my verdict? Let's get into it.
Out of the windows to watch. A roar and a burst of flame. The Movie Wire Podcast. With just meet people like me.
Podcast for hot and trending movies.
The Wire.
And here we go.
After the loss of her husband, a woman seeks solace with her in-laws. As one by one they transform into deadites, she comes to discover that the vows she took in life survive even in death in Evil Dead Burn.
Where's the wedding ring?
Alice, you were his wife. Why aren't you wearing it? I'm not sure.
Did you sell it?
No, of course not.
And get a good price.
I really think we should do this another time.
No, now's the best time.
Will's looking down on us from above.
From above. He's down below.
William, my sweet boy. I would give anything for us to be together again.
My grandfather believed the devil would return if anyone read from the Book of the Dead.
Calm down. The whole family can be reunited. Cheers to your perfect family.
You know what you're gonna get when you buy a ticket to Evil Dead Burn, but with a slightly different twist. Evil Dead Burn gives us a lot of gross out factor, a lot of laughing at yourself scares, a lot of squirming in your seat, In the more recent Evil Dead films, it holds tradition to Sam Raimi nods. They do hold to certain traditions of the originals with elevated moments and effects. But as we crescendo these movies that seem to get more and more tempted at using current technology, we start to lose the charm. But our director, Sebastian Vanacek, seems to get the assignment when it comes to how the movie can satisfy fans, but also keep to the tradition of the other film that you don't have to see to have a real understanding of what's going on, to have a level of enjoyment with the Evil Dead films. The movie stars Sahaya Yakub as Alice, who is married to Will, an abusive husband that faces what we can say, not necessarily an unfortunate death, but a death early on in the film. This is where her brother-in-law Joseph, played by Hunter Duhan, a writer and who is also studying his grandfather's past, along with his partner Thea, played by Lucianne Buchanan, all go to Joseph's hometown and inherited home to bury Will, with, of course, the rest of the family, mother and father of Will, Susan and Edgar, played by Tandy Wright and Errol Shand, along with all-timer grandma Polly, played by Maud Davey. In the first scene of Evil Dead Bird, the movie sets up what would be a playground for what would be a couple hours of demonic tension and gore porn. But this is where Evil Dead Bird succeeds more than the last two films, is the mere fact we have a cast of not only good performances, but memorable characters that output some real internal conflicts that lead up to what would be the real tension of the film of who is going to kill who, and the order of which who's going to be possessed or killed, which keeps us on our toes alongside the brutal gore that this movie's sole intent is to outdo its predecessors in every single way, and at times this throws off the Evil Dead vibe to make us wonder if this is even an Evil Dead movie, because it does feel a little bit different. Alongside that wonderment is the biggest problem with the film, is the lack of practical effects and the integrations of CGI, which is when the movie is at its least appealing. We see skin get ripped off, we see hooks separate skin, we see dripping blood, and at times that made me squirm. It's the moments that integrated practical effects that made me squirm because it feels like a natural mechanism that closely resembles what it's trying to portray. It feels more natural. When CGI is involved, we get the idea of what the movie is trying to make us feel, but it doesn't hit as hard, especially in the climax that feels unnecessary, where we are flooded with CGI settings and a character that almost ruins the movie, because prior the movie sets up the climax in one singular line and commits to it. But again, it's not needed. Take out the one line that sets up the climax that's not needed and end where we all know it should have ended. CGI takes the charm out of what the Evil Dead stands for, and it doesn't help it. But where the movie flaws, it makes up for an attempt at messaging internal individual character demons versus actual demons. In the screenplay by our director Vanacek and Florent Bernard really lean into giving Evil Dead some messaging of battling internal demons while battling the ones that are right in front of our face, with some fantastic performances and written characters. Yes, of course, most of the characters are written in a way that we think are destined to die, but it's not about that. It's the fact we ponder if we're going to hear our characters omit their guilt and flaws and how they're going to die. This is what keeps our attention and keeps the tension and makes our characters memorable. Evil Dead Burn, I saw at an early 9 a.m. screening that I am not used to with a movie like this, and the sun was shining going in, and even though the sun was still shining when I came out, it felt a little bit darker, which I guess that makes it effective in what it's trying to do. Our director Vanacek does give us a different feeling than what we got from the last two recent Evil Dead films, and he gives us some memorable shots, from blood down a chimney, smart camera work with a mirror on the wall during a fight scene, to up and down shots. His direction does show some skill. He doesn't treat this as an Evil Dead movie, but rather a playground. But as we get to the climax, the playground feels like it's rounding 7 p.m., the streetlights are coming on, and the kids are tired and want to go home. It does overstay its welcome, but the climax doesn't ruin the movie. It just feels pointless, and the time spent on the last 10-15 minutes could have been used throughout the movie to prove its point more effectively. Evil Dead Burn, I have to say, is my favorite out of the more recent Evil Dead films. It's unsettling, it's gross, it's fun, it made me squirm, but also it has style and memorable characters with themes. And we want to follow all of this. So for that, I'm giving Evil Dead Burn 3 stars.
What can I say? Since you're welcome. for the tides.
Nope.
Aw, you're welcome.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Now, before we get into the rest of the show, make sure you check out movies that just became available to rent, buy, or stream now.
Now available on video cassette.
The more you look for, the more you find if you're not careful in the back rooms that hinted more at intrigue than results to receive 2 stars. 1 dad, 3 kids, 0 clue, which should have read 1 comedian, 2 writers, 0 clue in a movie that everybody is a moron in The Breadwinner that received half a star. The greatest train wreck in history. I wouldn't go that far, especially after seeing The Breadwinner, but still a missed opportunity with how much talent is involved and how little comedic timing is executed in Stop That Train to receive 2 stars. 130 million people take road trips every year. 50,400 of them are never seen again. In Passenger, that banks on atmosphere versus dialogue and characters to make it uncomfortable. So just watch it on mute. Passengers receive 2 stars. Be careful what you wish for in Obsession, that taps into uncomfortable social horror to be one of the best films of the year that received 3.5 stars. The Devil of Fashion returns with Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway rephrasing their roles in The Devil Wears Prada 2. That doesn't change much except for the relevance of time. So if you like the first one, you will probably like this one, receiving 3 stars. A crew of professional shoplifters take aim at a cutthroat fashion maven. It's like community service in I Love Boosters, and I loved a lot of it, but by the end I couldn't say I Love Boosters, receiving 2.5 stars. Surviving the crash is just the beginning in Rennie Harlin's Deep Water. That is better than all of his Stranger movies, and I'll just leave it at that to receive 2.5 stars. Witness the birth of modern Russia and the men that shaped it in The Wizard on the Kremlin, that if you pay attention and appreciate just the mere performances, it's worth a watch to receive 3 stars. There might our future in Mortal Kombat 2, which was more memorable than the first film, but that's not saying much to receive 2 stars. Discover the making of the king, the origin of an icon in Michael, that was pop full of energy and leaves us wanting more, to receive 3 stars. When billions get stolen, meet the pros who steal it back in Guy Ritchie's In the Gray. And I gotta be honest, this is a first for the show. A movie that was so forgettable, I even forgot to even publish my review of it on the show. But just so you know, I gave it 2 stars. As an in-the-moment, nothing better to do Guy Ritchie film that just spliced together his other movies. I blink, I twitch, I jump, I click, I whistle, I shout, and I swear is one of the best films of the year to receive 4 stars. Check in, we've been expecting you, and I wasn't expecting an eerie movie that leaves you in thought in Hokum that received 3 stars. It's down to the wire and Fuse that promises a good time but fizzles out halfway through the movie to receive 2 stars. Their Time Is Now, a cautionary tale in this retelling of Animal Farm, which my cautionary tale is not to ever watch this movie to receive 0 stars. Rank up the role in the execution and Over Your Dead Body, that was driven by the fantastic ensemble of great performances to receive 3 stars. The galaxy awaits in this Super Mario sequel that wasn't that super, but rather just an Easter egg sugar rush in the Super Mario Galaxy movie that received 2 stars. What Happened to Katie, in a take on The Mummy that made me want to go back to the Tom Cruise battling the Mummy and Lee Cronin's The Mummy that received 2 stars. Small Town, Big Secret that shows that Bob Odenkirk is a breakout, unexpected action star in Normal that taps into 90s fun of action films to receive 3.5 stars. Believe in Hail Mary that I believed was too long. I believed it looked great. I believed it was a good theater experience to receive 3 stars. Don't overlook any anomalies. Based on the video game comes Exit 8 for limited dialogue and based on a video game had a lot to say to receive 3 stars. Witness the wedding of the year and witness drama that doesn't stop after the reveal in The Drama that received 3.5 stars. New game, Fresh Blood, Double or Nothing, and Ready or Not 2 that didn't really add anything but subtracted the fun factor to receive 2 stars. Nature Can't Be Silenced in Disney Pixar's Hoppers that taps into all the emotions from heart to Thrills for a perfect family adventure to receive 3.5 stars. Let them try in an admirable attempt at a survival thriller in They Will Kill You, but added nothing new to the table except moments of entertainment to receive 2.5 stars. Riches in retail that mixes the craft and Mean Girls, and I was all for the witty dialogue that drove the entertainment factor in Forbidden Fruits that received 3 stars. Everyone deserves a second chance, except reminders of him that I never want a reminder of this movie to receive 1.5 stars. Be afraid of the silence because it wants to be heard in undertone. That was an underwhelming paranormal experience to receive 2 stars. And finally, Elvis Presley like you've never seen before in epic Elvis Presley in concert. That was a refreshing experience on the King himself, receiving 4 stars. Now, before we get into the last set of reviews, there is a podcast that's become one of my weekly listening routines to give me a mental break from the stresses of work. And that is with J and K over the Fuck My Worklife Podcast. Make sure to follow and subscribe. The link to their show will be in the description of this episode. But let's hear from J and K over the Fuck My Worklife Podcast now.
Have you ever had a bad day at work?
Well, the Fuck My Worklife podcast is perfect for you.
Host J and K share listeners' entertaining stories from the workplace, which may have you thinking you don't have it so bad after all.
Find Fuck My Worklife on your favorite podcast platform.
In ancient Polynesia, when a terrible curse incurred by the demigod Maui reaches Moana's island, she answers the ocean's call to seek out Maui to set things right. This week, Josh from the Talking Smac podcast, not Alex.
Okay, I see what's happening here.
Okay, Alex.
And it's
time to get off the show.
You don't know how to feel.
I feel like you should get the fuck off the show.
What can I say? You're welcome for the time,
Alex,
the sun, the sky.
You got a pretty good voice, dude.
Hey,
not bad.
It's okay.
Definitely better than Chris Pratt's voice over work.
I'm just an ordinary Talking Smac kind of guy.
That was fucking cringe.
You're welcome. I expect a little gratitude.
I'll give you gratitude if you get the fuck off my show.
You're welcome.
Alex, all right, time to go. We got to get this thing going.
You're really not going to let this go, are you?
Hell no.
You're welcome.
Fuck you. All right, back to the show. Josh, get your co-host back in line. All right, let's get into it. Josh from the Talking Smac podcast, not Alex, and joins me to review this live-action Disney remake of Moana.
I know a girl from an island. She stands apart from the crowd. She loves the sea and her people. She makes her whole family proud. Moana, listen. Do you know who you are?
The stories are true.
The story has just begun. Beyond our reef, an evil darkness has found us. Moana, the ocean chose you. Find Maui. Restore the heart of Te Fiti and save us all.
Maui, demigod of the wind and sea.
Hero of men.
Huh?
So it goes like this. Maui, shapeshifter, demigod of the wind and sea, hero of men. Ah, women. Women too, men and women.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She calls me. I need your help.
I'm not going on a mission with some mortal.
My island, my people, won't survive if we don't make it. The ocean chose me for a reason. And it chose you too.
Listen, princess, if you're gonna do this, you gotta go through a whole ocean of bad.
I'm not a princess. I'm the daughter of the chief, leader of my people.
Are you ready to be the hero?
Let's go save the world.
I got your back.
Ma!
What? Is there something in my teeth?
Of course, I just read the same synopsis from 2016's Moana because it's the same fucking movie. It's the same damn story. It's the same damn dialogue. It does nothing with it. And those that have listened to my Lion King review or any Disney live action, these are where live action fails. It's where they just think people want to see the same stuff with real people. And, you know, I have a special guest here, and I'm sure he has a big opinion on it, and we're going to talk about it. But I need to get my opinion out there first, and we will catapult from there. This is one of those movies that I have a problem with the cash grabs. I have a problem with not doing anything different. And just to get it out of the way, this will open up a bigger discussion on one of my favorite guests on the show. These are my 3 live action Disney movies that I actually like. I wouldn't say love, but like, which would be Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin to a certain extent, and I'll get into that, I'm sure, more recently, Lilo and Stitch. So these are the ones that made slight changes, except for Lilo and Stitch. That one just screamed live action, but this does nothing with it. This one, it'll be the prime example of why Disney remakes, live action remakes, shouldn't exist. And as we get into it, I'm going to introduce my very special guest, and I am a lucky man that I get you twice in a month, a rolling month, and of course it's not Alex.
Aww.
Welcome, Josh from the Talking Smac podcast. Josh, how you doing?
I am doing wonderfully, Justin. Mostly because I'm here with you, not because of the subject matter we're talking about, but I do have to say one thing really quick. This is not the same movie as the 2016 movie because the 2016 movie was better than this movie. There was actual heart and soul in that movie. There was actual intent in that movie. The intent of this movie was to do my favorite Mel Brooks phrase, merchandising. That's all this movie is here for.
There was a moment in the beginning, and it was a moment when we have the fantastic, the glorious Reno Owen, who plays Grandma. And we have that interactions with Moana, and it's one of the best moments of the movie. It's well performed. There's emotion. And I think this is where it really gripes me is what can we do with live action versus animation? And I think we miss a big opportunity. This movie does, and I think Disney does, is creating that human connection without the music, without the visuals, of just pure emotion. The times I was invested in this movie is when we have emotional reactions with our characters. And I'm not talking the middle of the movie with Moana and Maui. I'm talking about the family element to it. And that is so small in this movie. We get brief moments, and it's almost like it skips over this. This is where the movie should be at its strongest of amplifying, forging this emotion, because just the human reaction got me to react to what I'm seeing on screen. And then we just have a different type of animation that happens and vomits on screen where it's not really live action if you're just going to throw animation CGI at the screen and call it live action. This is where I have a problem with Disney live action. It's calling it live action, but it's really not. It's just a different type of animation. This one has really nothing going for it when it comes to the central themes, when it comes to the emotion. At one point, I went to an early showing. I can't remember the moment, but I remember looking at my time, the first time out of the 7 times I checked it, and I was like, this movie has to be close to being done. And it's 40 fucking minutes into the movie. This one just drags on, and it's because of the banter, the dialogue that does nothing with our central characters. The dialogue, you can tell, was just copy and pasted from the animated movie, and the animation is there to supplement it. It's there to distract, to give something extra. We don't have the extra here to really distract. It's just really back and forth dialogue that gets tiresome, bored, really nothing that builds the chemistry that should drive this movie in the second act, but it never happens. It's just a bore.
So I have to disagree with you. Rena Owen is wonderful. She's fantastic. Just not in this movie. I think part of it is because Rachel House knocked Grandma Tala out of the park with that first portrayal in the animated feature from 2016. And why would you not bring Rachel House back? I don't understand why Rachel House isn't also in this film, besides the fact that apparently only The Rock and Jermaine Clement can be the two returning people. Everyone else has to be recast. I think the two standout performances from this film, to go with what you were saying about the interpersonal relationships, the heart and the emotion behind these characters, I think Catherine Lagaya as Moana and John Tui as her dad, Chief Tui, ironically named, coincidentally named probably better. Those two had really good on-screen chemistry. And I think Catherine Lagaya had a really good grasp on the role. The problem is, much like the musical performances of this film, it's all just hollow. Like you said, copy paste nonsense. It's Disney at its most insincere with these live action remakes, where it's 20 minutes longer, but it's only 20 minutes longer because they take everything back like a quarter step in terms of like the beat of everything. Everything is just a little slowed down and a little off. And one of the biggest moments I can explain that is in the original 2016 film, there's the moment where Moana and Maui are having a back and forth while they're climbing the mountain to get to Lalotai, where they go to the realm of the monsters and they meet up with Tamatoa. And they have this back and forth. And once Moana gets to the top of the mountain, she's like, the ocean chose me for a reason. And then she calms down. And she has another moment where she says, the ocean chose me for a reason. And Maui shows up behind her and says, if you start singing right now, I'm going to throw up. It's a good comedic beat. In this film, they're just walking through the desert or through a jungle because The Rock is so limited in the fat suit that they put him in, muscle suit, whatever you want to call it. He can't move his arms really. Like the most body movement he gets is like he does a white people dance a little bit, where he does a little bit of like a hand over hand and then pump back. Like that's the most movement he does in the entire film. That's not CGI. They're just walking through the jungle, a random spot where all of a sudden we see the entrance to Lalotai, and they're just having a back and forth. Like there's no build up or anything. Moana says a line. I don't even remember what the line of dialogue is. And The Rock just completely cuts her off, or I should say Maui, completely cuts her off and says, if you start singing right now, I'm going to throw up. I'm like, whoa, man, like chill the hell out. Like that's completely uncalled for in this moment.
I've thought about this movie quite a bit, and not for the right reasons, of what went wrong. And I go down to two main aspects of it, of Laguna and Johnson. You have an overconfidence, you have an underconfidence. And I'm not saying it's a bad performance by either. It's just doesn't work holistically. The chemistry isn't there. The lines are delivered so stiff and awkward, where it's just like watching almost an AI generated dialogue back and forth. It just doesn't get a reaction, which really goes to the boredom. My second issue to this is when we look at Thomas Kael's direction, a man that has spent his career in theater doing Grease Live, Hamilton, we can tell this looks like almost a stage play. He has a central focus on boxing the scene of just showing kind of the 16:9. Don't show us the environment. This is a movie that spends most of its time on water and ocean, seclusion and environment. The dialogue doesn't really make it interesting, and the environment certainly doesn't. They can't even get an exciting moment on the ocean right. It feels like we're not in this environment. We're just sitting in a chair in the studio on a green screen, watching these two banter uninteresting dialogue. This is a missed opportunity. So when I spoke to earlier, when it comes to animation supplementing the dialogue, so it holistically works in the end, this one, there's nothing supplementing the dialogue. The environment is non-existent. Yes, you get some fun little scenes with the water boosting Moana back to the boat. That happens more than it should. But there is nothing fun here. There is nothing excited. There is nothing here if I had my daughter next to me, I would say, be like Moana, because these are the moments that we get in the beginning and we get hints at the end, but there's no encouragement of those themes in the middle. This is something that could have really resonated, and I felt bad because there was a little girl that walked into this theater in a Moana outfit. It was adorable with her grandmother. And hour into the movie, they walked out, never came back. Who was this movie meant for? And I'm not going to generalize it saying one group is going to define this movie. But I kept pondering it after I saw that is I'm getting bored. Kids are getting restless in this theater. This is something that, did we do test screenings? Did we actually identify who this movie's for? I know me, you, and Alex have had that discussion. You've heard my rant that this movie was too soon. This is one of the more recent movies that are being remade. And honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of the original. I liked it, but I didn't think it was at top of mind for top Disney movies. So why was this remade in live action? I don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will.
It's merchandising and it's album sales. Moana is one of the most viewed movies, if not the most viewed movie on Disney Plus in the US. Constantly, it is almost always in the top 10. The soundtrack is probably Disney's best seller since Beauty and the Beast. Maybe Encanto has since surpassed it. I don't know. Moana is largely about the music. And for me, I loved the movie when it first came out. Like, I remember seeing the We Know the Way sequence, and like, I was just blown away by the music, the love, that the attention to detail, the reverence that it had for Polynesian culture. Like, it just blew me away. And I remember my oldest daughter was like not even quite 1 when that movie came out. So we didn't bring her to the movie with us. But I remember coming home and like just putting on the music, and she just connected with the music immediately. With this one, like you said, this went into pre-production in 2019, 3 years after the film released, because they knew that the soundtrack and everything was like so over with everyone. And that was because it went up after Beauty and the Beast hit it big. And then in 2019, you had The Lion King and Aladdin back to back hitting $1 billion also. 3 of their 4 live action releases from 2017 to 2019 banked $1 billion. So they're like, Moana's soundtrack is selling like gangbusters. Lin-Manuel Miranda is hot as anything can be right now. Let's make this happen. Like, that's where the live action thing came into effect. And then it was just coordinating with The Rock to get his schedule set so they could get him in. And I think the rush to get this made shows, because like you said, the direction, the camera work, it is as basic can be. Everything once you get past the "You're welcome" scene feels like it is literally just a one shot and a one shot back to a one shot. Say your lines, we're back to the one shot. It doesn't feel like anyone's in the room with each other ever after that point. Everyone's just on a green screen, and they had like a week to film their stuff, and then they just CGI'd everything behind them. And I was talking with Alex about this and how the framing of the camera work is. This is a movie that was made for TikTok. It's a movie that was made for vertical screens and YouTube shorts, so they can just clip it and put it on there. One point I want to make, that the internet oversaturated. The wig is not bad. The Rock's wig grew on me, no pun intended. I settled into it and it looks fine. Like, it's a good wig. The Rock just looks really weird because he's been bald for 20 years. Like, it's not the wig's fault. it's The Rock. And so if you give the movie a minute to kind of immerse you even just a little bit, if like you're just like, this movie's not great, let's just see where we go, things will settle in for you. Because like you said, again, this movie hasn't had time to build nostalgia. It's not like Cinderella, where there's a new Cinderella every 4 years or something like that. Like, Cinderella is constantly being remade, and the original Cinderella happened 50 years prior. The refresh with Lily James, I like that one. I think that's one of my top 3 Disney live action remakes is Cinderella. Lilo and Stitch is up there as well. I am not as high on Beauty and the Beast, and I don't really care for The Lion King or Aladdin. I just leave it at those 2. Like, those are the only 2 that I think justify their existence. And that's probably the biggest question with a live action remake is, does this justify not only the money it took to produce it and put it into theaters, but like, does it justify its own existence? And no, because as we said, this is a copy paste. We're just putting real people into scenes and updating some visual effects, which even then, because you have real people in your foreground, the background looks worse in comparison to a 2016 animated film. Does this movie justify its existence? No. And I think you can encapsulate that almost entirely in the Tamatoa scene, because you can just hear it in Jermaine Clement's voice and his performance, where he's just like, I've already done this. Why do I need to do this again? Oh, because you're paying me? Well, I guess that's a good enough reason. And he just phones it in. Like, nothing in Tamatoa is as fun, as energetic, as funny as what he did in the 2016 film. Like, it's all the same dialogue. It's just slightly altered to fit with this new movie, and none of it hits the same because the editing is off, the pacing is off, and the dialogue, the delivery of the dialogue is off, because everyone's just like, I've already said these lines. Like, everyone knows these lines. Like, what am I going to do? I can't make it better. Might as well make it worse, I guess.
And I think that's one of the biggest missteps. When I talked about overconfidence, I think you said it better than I did, which is, we've done this before. We've said it before. We've done it 1,000 times over. Now we're doing it in a different light of day. That's where it just doesn't really separate itself from this movie, is because it goes into that complacency piece of it, is we're just going to do the same stuff again. And I think that's where I have respect. You said you didn't like Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast. This is where I did like it, is because they did something different. They experimented. They went a little edgy with it. Beauty and the Beast focused a little bit more on the Broadway spectacle of it. Aladdin, a challenging feat as is, with Robin Williams being with Will Smith. And Will Smith, again, does a decent job, but does he slaps in this movie? Not really. You can laugh at that later. Anyway,
I will give you credit for Beauty and the Beast, just because we do get Forevermore, which is a very good song.
Very good. So, I mean, I give a little extra credit to Disney if they try and do something a little bit different. But here's the deal. You're putting in the same damn cast. Again, we get familiar stuff that we've already seen. Just watch the animated piece of it. And it does, and you're right, it does take a little bit for the eyes to adjust to The Rock. I didn't really have a problem with the wig. I think his body has, compared to the character, has shrunken a little bit. And I think that's where the problem is we're having trouble hearing the voice, having our eyes adjust. The audio isn't matching the video, and it takes a little bit to adjust to that. This is where Disney would have been smart. But again, you're going to have internet trolls being pissed off that things were recast. They're not going to satisfy everybody, but at least take the risk. I mean, Disney took the risk on replacing, sadly, after Robin Williams, Will Smith. Nobody in that role would have satisfied anybody, period. It's Robin Williams that nailed it to perfection. Here, we don't have that character that's perfect. So I think it would have been edgier to say, you know what? Throw names out there. Jason Momoa, I don't know, could have pulled it off. I don't know. Anybody that could have been a little bit edgier. But I think Disney got stage fright after Snow White, where they just really said, let's just stick to the bare bones basics, take the cast, insert it, be what's familiar, gain the paycheck in the end, and call it a day. I don't know.
I do have to interrupt you real quick, Justin. The Rock was cast in this role immediately. Like, he was the linchpin when they went into pre-production in 2019. So that was well before even Rachel Zegler was cast as Snow White. That part of it, I don't think stands the test of they got scared by Snow White. I think that, like, there might have been some Snow White fallout for certain aspects of this film, but I think the biggest problem with anything The Rock is doing is that he is in a different movie. Like, he brought it with the animated film. He had charisma. He put The Rock back into a character with Maui. In this one, it's almost like he said, I'm on camera now. I can't be over the top. I can't be silly. I have to be dramatic. I have to be eloquent. I have to be an actor. And that created a very stiff and unsatisfying Maui, who's supposed to be this charismatic blowhard who thinks that he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's Hulk Hogan. He's the guy that made things happen for other people, even though his own actions created a bit more problems than they solved. And he just doesn't have that in him in this role in the live action film. It's stiff. And I don't know if it's because he can't move in the bodysuit. There's just something different where it almost feels like the portrayal that he's giving with Maui. He's like, this is my Oscar role before he did the Smashing Machine. There's just something off in his charisma level where once we get through You're Welcome, he's just a completely different character. And it's really strange that the guy who did the voice for this is now just sitting back and being a much more stoic character, but still saying the lines that are nearly identical to the animated film. So it makes no sense. It's just very jarring and disjointed.
I think it makes perfect sense. 2 reasons. One, you know my opinion on You're Welcome. I don't like the song. I think it's okay. I don't think it's top of mind, but it is a decent, fun song for what this movie is. But this is where Dwayne Johnson, that we see on TikTok, we see on YouTube, constantly sing this song to his daughter, and it's adorable. This is where he has fun with it, because as parents, we have fun with our kids. We want to have that silly charisma with our kids to really just have fun with it. But when it comes to the serious lines, this goes to point number 2, is it's just another Dwayne Johnson performance. This is where you take away things that trigger him from the singing, and he just goes back to his old things. You can almost tell it's subconscious with him that he's performing for his daughter when he's singing You're Welcome. And I think that is adorable. It's sweet, but it doesn't change the transition. You can tell he's comfortable in the song, but it's, again, just a Johnson performance. And I want to go back to the music, that this could have saved a little bit of the movie. There is a scene where we see how far I'll go. This is for a man, a director that focuses on musicals and adaptations to screen, that can't figure out how to choreograph a music number. There's a point where we get a cutoff of how far I'll go in the beginning, and it's just so abrupt with no emotional. It's like quick transition, and it throws off and loses the emotional feeling. It's the first time we're hearing this song in the movie, and it snaps to a quick transition. Let it linger. I would have rather had the last 20 minutes of an emotional song just linger in an environment where we have Moana being brave, facing the dangers of just a zoomed out shot, a wide angle shot of the ocean, and enjoying it, taking in the moment. But it doesn't appreciate the talent, the singing, the choreographed musical numbers, except for You're Welcome. You can tell most of the effort went into that song, because that's where Johnson's energy is, but it doesn't respect the other artists on the emotional level to really respect they will go in their range. And that was a disappointment for me. So
while we're on the subject of songs, I'm going to bring my Talking Smac stuff into this, because I like diving into this, and you and I are both musical guys. I really appreciate musical films like Les Mis and the Wicked movies, for better or for worse, however you feel about them, where they perform the music live. They might touch it up afterwards, but everything is sung live. And they will usually take most of that live performance and put it directly into the film. When they do lip syncing, like this film, it gets better as the movie goes on. The first few times they start singing, it's very obvious that they're just lip syncing. They're not doing anything. Catherine Lagaya does a pretty good job after the first couple of bars of How Far I'll Go. But I think it's Where You Are is the opening song with Chief Tui singing it. You know, Moana, make way, make way. That whole thing is just lip synced so horribly. And The Rock is also like, he's so static faced that the lyrics we're hearing do not match the performance that's on screen, and you can tell. And I really appreciate when films go the extra mile to do that live on screen, on camera singing, even if it's a little off key. Like that's what got Anne Hathaway her Oscar, is how she broke down in the middle of that performance when it's just so perfectly sung. Like that's how you differentiate yourself from the animated film, is you sing it live. You're like, fuck it, we're doing it live. Like that's what you need to do when you do this sort of thing. But that's not what they wanted to do here, because they just wanted to recreate the Lin-Manuel Miranda songs. And it goes into further detail on We Know the Way, the ancestor song, that when Moana finds out that they were voyagers, like they don't even show the people singing, which like they don't sing too much in the original film, but there are moments where you see them like lo loco lo faca, like you see them do that on screen a couple of times, and they just cut all of that out just for the CGI scenery that they create. I think that's where this movie really needed to kind of lean into. It was like, let's film it like a theatrical production. Let's sing it live. And where do you fall? That my question after all of this is like, where do you fall on like the lip syncing versus the live performance? Because there have been other films besides Les Mis and the Wicked films that have done live singing, but I always tell when it is switched out for ADR audio and like studio made performances compared to the live. And I always just prefer the live. Like I cannot remember if the original Music Man with Robert Preston was sung live, but it sure seems like it was. And like that movie just has so much magic. And when it's sung live, performed live, like I'm going off on a big tangent right now, and I'm sorry, this isn't what the point of the show is.
I love it.
Like that's the magic of musicals, is that it's just done live like that. And if you want to capture that with live action musicals, it should be done live, not an overproduced music video where they're just lip syncing.
Right when you started talking about it, Anne Hathaway went at top of mind as one of the greatest moments in musical adaptations to screen musical numbers, because it's one of the most emotional moments that movie has. It's one of the most emotional songs that musical adaptations have had. What's going on? Where's the music coming from?
I dreamed a dream in time
Fuck
gone by,
me.
when hope was high and life worth living.
Alex. All right, that's fucking enough. You've had your 2 songs.
Oh.
Josh, before Alex interrupted, what were you saying?
At Jean Valjean's death at the end of that film, when she's God in heaven, look down on him with mercy, when she hits those notes, I get chills every time. Like, it's just so beautiful and powerful.
It really is. And you got to think, going into a musical or a musical adaptation, whatever it may be, theater, whatever, they have to attack these musical numbers perfect. They have to put emotion. They're preparing for emotion. Here, like I kind of said with the first How Far I'll Go, it almost looks like they're cutting things to cover mistakes and to save money. And I 100% agree with you, because anything live in the moment, you're going to capture not only the emotion, even if it's a mistake that's intentional. It shows emotion and it shows intent. So you're going to get always the first best emotional response the first time you get a camera on somebody that's singing live, because you have the nerves, you have the emotion, everything is at top of mind. This is where Moana loses that connection and loses the audience, because even when we take choreographed early scenes where we're talking about how safe the island is, your community, you're next in line, when we're having this theme of community, you know what I expect from a damn musical? Have the community involved. And what we get brief scenes of 4 to 5 dancers dancing in the background and everybody just popping a smile with the camera zooming by. Give us a good choreographed scene. Give us something that involves the entire island. Give us something different than we saw in the animated film. This is a live action, should teeter more to musical than anything. And keep in mind, we have to go almost an hour plus without hearing a song. There's nothing added. So that would have separated this a little bit more. This could have had some depth to it. This, instead of the repetitive banter between Moana and Maui, we could have had an inserted new written song. That's where it just feels lazy. There is no emotion put into this. I'll be honest, when the mother cries in this, they make eye contact and they start to go, my heart sunk. And that's what I wanted more of this movie, is a lot of that connection. This had potential. This had a start that kind of knew where it wanted to go, but it just said, no, stop. We're going to follow the same tropes. We're not going to detour course. We're just going to pump it out, mimic it, and pray for the best.
Yeah, I had emotional responses to certain parts of this film, but only because it reminded me of the emotional responses I had previously. Like, my wife has a very strong emotional attachment to the grandmother because she was very close to her grandmother. And so when Grandma Tala dies and you see that glowing stingray come out from under the island and help Moana, that's something they even changed in this film. In the animated film, the stingray helps her break through those waves beyond the reef. Where in this one, it's more like she's showing her the way, but it's not very clear. Like, it just splashes through, makes a big one, and then Moana's just like a little ways behind her. It's not as resonant, but it still like gave me a little bit of that emotional tingle because it reminded me of like looking over at my wife in that moment and seeing the tears in her eyes because she's like, Grandma. And the same thing happens with the reprise of or I Am Moana. Like Grandma Tala shows back up, and again, my wife gets so teary-eyed. My favorite scene in Moana is when she the I Know Who You Are sequence, when Te Kā, we've had the discovery that, spoilers, Te Kā is Te Fiti, just without her heart, and Moana is walking down the bare ocean floor, and Te Kā is just like charging at her, and she's singing this beautiful slowed down version of Know Who You Are. I think, like, legitimately that is maybe the most well-produced and beautiful scene Disney has ever put on screen since like Sleeping Beauty, since Beauty and the Beast. Like, it has been decades since they have put something that beautiful on screen. And I love Tangled. Tangled is like my favorite Disney animated feature. And I will argue with anyone that the 10 minutes from the moment they arrive in Corona to the end of See the Light is like the most well-produced 10 minutes of Disney animation ever. I will make that argument. But I Know Who You Are is maybe the most well-produced 90 seconds of any Disney film ever. And in this movie, it's just so hollow and fast. Like, we reveal the thing, let's get to it and get it done.
Because they're so concerned, and I agree with you, by the way, they're so concerned with trying to build this chemistry and sticking to the screenplay that once was and going with that and hoping that these two will figure it out. And it just leads to just some dullness. This movie didn't need to be 20 minutes longer. If it did, then you know what? Extend the last 10 minutes to more of an emotional piece of it. Extend the first act into 10 extra minutes. Let us get to know the chemistry between these characters, because what's they're banking on is a chemistry between our two mains, and they're just not that interesting because we're already familiar with them. We get the same stuff we've already seen, but we don't know the buildup. We don't have that added stuff. And that's what this movie really needed, is shorten the second act, give us more in the climax when it comes to the emotional summary, and give us more of an emotional buildup in the beginning. Take out all the boring stuff that nobody really cares about, because it is the weakest part of this film.
I think the way you spruce this movie up is with live singing. And as you said, like, let's go back to the island. Like, I know that's a trope that a lot of people don't like, but like, maybe while Moana's on her journey, we spend some time with her parents and see how they're coping with the island dying and their daughter missing. Like, there are things that you can fill in. And usually that's what these live action Disney remakes do, is they fill in some gaps to fill in a plot hole that people tend to be like, oh, well, Belle's just got Stockholm syndrome. And is the toilet alive in the castle? Like, what's going on there? And so they like make a big point at certain points in the film for Beauty and the Beast to be like, oh no, the toilet's not alive. The hairbrush isn't alive. Like, it's just us. Like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to Han Solo this thing, but you can find the story within the story to help elevate what was already done before. And this movie just has no interest in doing it. And I think a big part of it is just The Rock. Like, my personal theory is that he was just like, no one else is going to be Maui. It's going to be me. And then he just collected his paycheck. He had nothing besides putting in a little bit of effort for a new version of You're Welcome onto a new CD. We're being cruel to this movie, but I do again want to point out Catherine Legaya as Moana is a wonderful find. I think for a Moana on Broadway, she would be phenomenal. For a Moana on screen, it's just really hard to follow up Ali E. Carvalho. And it's an uphill battle that unfortunately she just can't overcome, because you can do so much more in animation compared to live action, especially a live action adaptation. That, as Justin said, why is this live action when 90% of what you see on screen is animated? Which I'm going to say his name, and we can only say it once more, maybe. Alex might come after us because of how Avatar films are produced, but that's a different argument for a different time. Maybe that's a Talking Smac subject. Yeah, this film, if we're going to kind of start wrapping up, because this is a whole episode unto itself, I would give this 1.5 stars. Like, mostly for Catherine Legaya's performance is like what is carrying any of this film as far as 1.5 stars.
Leguay, I think it's an inconsistent performance because we feel like we get different tones throughout the movie. So I can't agree with you on that. But I do agree that when we take out our two mains, there is a lot of potential and there's a lot of likability, which makes me go back to my point of I wish we had more of the beginning, more of the end, of that family element, that community element. Those are the moments I really liked here. Am I going to say this movie looked horrible? The direction, not good. this was the wrong project for this director, even though on paper it probably looked good. A man in musical theater, but this was too big of a project and the screenplay wasn't there. It was just copy and pasted crap that was crossing their fingers, hoping the director can really make some magic, bringing other musical things to the screen. So I think there is a lot that went wrong here. You know what? I am 100% in agreement with you that, you know what? I was teetering back and forth from 1.5 to 2, but when we look at everything holistically, the filmmaking, the script isn't original, the visuals at times have moments, but it's just not there. I think the ending, it has moments and it's beautiful, but it can't rely on just the climax. I think this one was a misstep for Disney, and I think this word of mouth is just going to bore kids. It's going to bore adults, and I got to agree with you again, 110%. It's going to be 1.5 stars for me.
So speaking of boring kids, like I brought all 3 of mine. They sat, watched the film, and they continued singing the songs afterwards. They all love Moana, but like, I think it was just more, again, it triggered them to be like, oh yeah, we do like Moana. But there was a little girl, and I believe her grandfather sitting like 3 seats to our right. She ended up going to the bathroom 2 times during the film. And then just before the first time they go after Te Kā and try to get past the barrier to get to Te Fiti, she goes, "Can we go now?" And the grandpa's like, "Really? What? The movie's not over." And she's like, "Yeah, I want to go." And so he like talked to her a little bit more in like a hushed tone. And she just stayed there and watched while he did whatever while he watched the rest of the film. Like this is not a movie that is going to keep younger kids entertained especially if they have no attachment to Moana, which maybe this little girl didn't. And like, maybe she's more of a Paw Patrol kid and she just isn't ready for movies yet. But there was just something about this film that just did not grasp her in particular. But my kids were there because, again, they have a history with Moana and they were interested in seeing how it was adapted. Even my 4-year-old, she was just like, "Oh, this is different, but the same." And they definitely didn't walk away sad about the film, my kids, but they were definitely not blown away by it either.
And I don't want to generalize it to no kid's going to like this. I just think a majority, like you said, those that are fans of the original cartoon, this has more than enough familiar stuff to really keep their attention, to be familiar, to connect the dots, depending on the age. So, but when it comes to a lot of people, if this is going to be a movie, they haven't seen the original, this might really bore them because the music is better in the cartoon, not here. My recommendation would be see the cartoon first with your kids, then see this movie. So you can gain a reaction from it of how they react to the cartoon. If they loved it, they'll probably like this one because guess what? It's the same damn movie. So
just a little slower.
Just a little slower. It's going to be up for interpretation. If you love the original Moana, you'll probably like this, but you'll be disappointed in the music. And I will go back as my final point to Aladdin is I hated Never Had a Friend Like Me by Will Smith. The first viewing, I was disappointed, but after watch, it grew on me because I had my mind shut down that nobody was going to top Robin Williams. And that didn't top Robin Williams, but there was some elements that I had to open up and say, you know what? I get where this song is going. I get the interpretation. So I respect it, but that doesn't mean it's better than the original. But here, nothing really is better than the original.
Couldn't say it better myself.
All right. So Josh, again, I appreciate you coming onto the show. And I'd like to state the fact that I did invite you on the show and I did not invite Alex. And I am extremely
Oh, no, you said his name a third time.
I'm here.
Oh, no, there he is. All right. So Josh, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me every Wednesday on your podcatcher of choice at the Talking Smac podcast, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and much, much more every Wednesday. Alex and I usually will host, but this most recent week is a little different because Alex really did not want to see Moana, which I can't say I blame him. I was seeing it with my kids either way. So I did a solo review where you're going to hear a lot of similar things to what I had to say just now. But I think actually I'm going to ask Justin to send me this audio file so I can post it as an extra episode because this is a great discussion and it's a very Talking Smack-ish discussion. But Justin also is kind enough to join He who has been named 3 times already, 4 times maybe.
I'm back. Yeah.
Where they talk about the history of the Evil Dead franchise, as well as Evil Dead Burn is the newest one. I can't keep them straight. They're all just adding different adjectives at the end of it now. Rise, burn, play, whatever. So yeah, you can find us there every Wednesday, as well as YouTube, Blue Sky, Facebook, Letterboxd, which we don't use. We also have a website that we're still trying to kind of get our mojo going for that one, where we'll post like blogs and things for things we're not talking about on the podcast. But you can find us at Talking Smac if you like this kind of discussion. We do a lot of that, if not longer, even longer form there every Wednesday. But thank you, Justin, for having me on as well.
Absolutely. And I can't wait for Evil Dead Birthday, Evil Dead Christmas, Evil Dead Burn the Shit Down, whatever it may be. So we got a long list of
Evil Dead Snack Time.
Ooh, that would be good. Gross, but good. All right. All right. So make sure you check out the Talking Smac with Josh and Alec. You can check out their show. The link to their show will be in the description of this episode. Again, Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alex, you are so fucking starved for attention. I don't fucking care anymore. Just do the fucking outro and let's call it a day. Have your minute, 30 seconds, whatever it may be.
That's a cut on this week's edition of the Movie Wire. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for your support. No, what you should be doing, Justin.
Alex, get off the show.
Are you following the show on Instagram, Blue Sky,
Alex,
X, Threads, Facebook,
Alex,
TikTok, YouTube, and Letterboxd
Alex,
at Movie Wire Show?
Get off
While you're at
the
it, don't forget to
fucking
leave a review
show
on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and don't forget to listen, follow, and subscribe
Alex,
to the Cult-Worthy
for the
Cinema
love
Podcast
of fucking God,
and the Movie Wire's crossover
get
show,
off
Back to the Balcony.
Show.
Until next week, do me a favor, make sure you stay for after the credits to show the respect to those who put their blood, sweat, and tears into making a feature film.
You're right on that.
And support your local movie theater. That's
can't
right.
deny that.
Stop waiting 60 to 90 days.
You're doing an okay job.
Get this thing off of streaming from your couch. Go to a movie theater. Experience nature.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I do say it's nature because the person sitting down the row who's eating too loudly is a natural part of the environment. You gotta tune that out so you can respect the movie. You have to earn
Holy shit.
a movie watch. You can't just
Get
passively
off
experience.
the fucking show.
Thank you for taking me to the movies.
Thank you for bringing me to the movies.
Let the credits roll. We say farewell. Join us next time. We'll have more tales to tell.